All right, it's starting to get a little spookier and it's starting to get really good. Let's talk about Before episode 5. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Before season 1, episode 5 called Folie. That's an interesting title. It's timely given the Joker movie that came out, but this is a very different episode of the Joker movie. This is entertaining and it's not like 3 hours long. It comes to Apple TV Plus on November 15th, 2024, and it continues this interesting story between Eli and Noah and their connections that they seem to have. Now, is this episode worth watching? My hot take is I definitely think you should watch it. I really like this episode a lot. I thought it was a better episode than episode 4. Remember, I didn't like episode 1. Episode 2 was great. It's been a downward trend, but I think this is coming back up. I really loved that this kind of like upped some of the creepy, unsettling aspects of the series and also let us see some progression with Noah and Eli. So I actually really enjoyed this episode a lot. It was tight. It was fairly short, but overall, I really liked it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this episode, you might not. There are some big surprises here. I would turn it off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So, in Before episode 5, you have kind of the continuation of what happened at the end of episode 4, where Eli got this picture that Lynn, his wife, had been working on of like two people in a forest with all these swirls around it. And Noah was kind of going into shock after his Eli doll was taken from him, and like he started to get like really cold. Now this happens right after we see Eli and Noah talking. Eli's trying to get some more information from Noah, and the information he gets leads him down some interesting rabbit holes. So things I liked about this episode. The first, I love the supernatural aspects. This is getting more and more supernatural. At least it seems supernatural. It feels supernatural. It feels like they are getting more and more overt in the supernatural aspects. You might remember from earlier reviews of episodes. I didn't love that everything was like dream based. Something terrible happened. Dream. Something else terrible happened. Dream within a dream, right? Like now it feels like we are moving into the real world, and some of that is starting to get really fun. Second thing I loved about this, I like the drama. There is definitely some drama here, especially as like Eli is trying to figure out what happened, how he's trying to like navigate things that his wife might have known and things that his wife might be trying to tell him from beyond the grave, both good and bad. So that is definitely a fun aspect of this series, and it gets upped in this episode. And the last thing I love the ending. Really good ending. Really makes you wonder what's going to happen next. Really good kind of like shock surprise ending. So definitely stick through this episode so you can see that. Now, things I didn't love as much. So first, it's a little bit shorter. It feels like these episodes are getting shorter and shorter. They started off at like 35 minutes. This is a 29-minute episute, so just kind of compressing. I would like more. I'd like to know more about what happened. So it is a little bit disappointing that the episodes are getting shorter and shorter. And the last thing I didn't love as much, there was like a tape in this episode. It wasn't great. It felt a little bit corny. It wasn't bad, but like it didn't have the same kind of tone and mood as the rest of the series. So all that being said, Before episode 5 comes to Apple TV Plus on November 15th, 2024. Like I said, I definitely think you should check it out. I think this is a nice return to form for the series, and it makes me excited to see where it's going to go next. So if you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So in Before episode 5, starts off with Eli talking to Noah after he kind of went into that, like, after he went into shock and like got really cold, his breath was showing. It seems like it's a little bit after. Noah seems like he's almost in a trance. He's not being super responsive. Now, Eli brings some pictures to Noah, the pictures that he's drawn that all have that like farmhouse in it. And so he asks, like, what is that farmhouse? Noah doesn't really respond. He says, like, is this related to this farmhouse you might have seen at my house? And then he turns it around, and on the back of that farmhouse is BW. And Noah kind of recoils at that. So he then shows Noah the picture from his wife, and he says, and Noah like looks at it and tells him that the picture, the two characters in the picture, it looks like a boy and a girl, are both of them. Noah is the girl and Eli is the boy. And so you're like, so is Noah kind of like possessed by Lynn? Like, is that what's going on? Is that where this is happening? I mean, I don't know. We'll find out, but that was an interesting statement by Noah. It seems like they are both characters in whatever Lynn's story is happening. So Noah says that in this picture, we are looking for our friend, and that they do find their friend. And Eli asks, well, what happens when we find them? And Noah starts tracing the spirals, which the spirals, remember, were like the hair of the person who was drowning. So seems like they're looking for their friend, and when that happens, something bad will happen. You don't know, you don't get a ton of information, but it is starting to get a little bit more creepy, which I did like. Now, when Eli asks if Noah knew Lynn, Noah starts kind of freaking out and like starts going like, "It's behind my eye," and he like starts yelling about that, and then he passes out. So as when Noah passes out, he goes and gets taken to like a doctor to get evaluated, and as he's getting wheeled out of the ward, as he's passing all these kids also have freakouts and they pass out. So it's like a mass episode in this ward. As Noah passes them, they all start to have different issues. So later, we find out that Noah is in isolation and is alert, but not really being responsive. And all the other kids also had, various collapses, but their symptoms are all over the place. So it's not like one common thing. It's different things that affected each of these kids. Now, Eli thinks, as he would, because he doesn't try to believe in the supernatural, that this is some like mass psychogenic illness. I think he called it conversion disorder, where like one extreme event causes others who are susceptible, these other kids, to have similar extreme events. He basically is trying to find like anything other than like some sort of supernatural influence. So after this, Eli goes back home and he goes through a box of items from Lynn and finds some more pictures. They're a similar style to the picture that he got from his friend. And it looks like a storyboard for a new story. And so he and his assistant are trying to rearrange it. And on the back of one of the pictures, it says Benjamin's nightmare. What was he so afraid of? So Eli racks his head, and I believe Lynn he said an ex, so I'm not sure if it's an ex lover or an ex patient. I think it's an ex lover, but maybe turned into a patient, named Benjamin Walker, BW, are the initials on the back of that farmhouse picture. So it seems like Benjamin Walker is a central figure in whatever is going on. And on one of the other pictures, it says check storage for Benjamin tapes. That's a weird note to write on the back of a picture. Like this seemed a little bit too breadcrumby, a little bit too easy to figure out. But hey, you know what? I guess maybe Lynn was either very detailed in her notes or just wanted to leave some crumbs for Eli to follow down. It's fine. Moves the story along. It's fine. But yeah, it's very weird that she'd be like on the back of one of her pictures, she'd write check storage for Benjamin tapes. It seems like almost something you'd write in like a notebook or a planner or your phone to give you an alert to be like, oh yeah, I do need to find those tapes. Anyways, Eli goes to Lynn's mom's house to check the storage. I guess all the stuff is stored at Lynn's mom's house. Her name is Ruth. And when he asks for the tapes, Ruth doesn't seem to really know what he's talking about. She finds a box of tapes, but then she puts in a tape of I think it's Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. And he and Lynn's mom start dancing. It's a weird scene. It's fine. And while they're dancing, Lynn's mom transforms into a soaking wet Lynn, like a soaking wet Lynn corpse. Um, Eli like puts his hand out and it's wet from the moisture on her dress, and he looks at her and it's Lynn, and then he like goes back and we see Lynn in the bathtub opening her eyes again. So again, Eli is constantly haunted by Lynn. But that was a dream. I know I said I liked that this is becoming more supernatural and less dreams, but that was apparently a dream because Eli wakes up, or Eli comes to, and Ruth is nowhere near him. So it seems like that was a dream sequence. But in any event, eventually we find a tape that is being played, and it's a tape called Benjamin 78. And in the recording, someone is yelling about worms in him. And then after listening to the recording, Lynn's mom, Ruth, says, "You killed her," and like accuses Eli of killing Lynn. So Eli, avoids this, judos it, whatever you want to call, and goes back to Noah. He plays some of that tape, that Benjamin 78 tape, and Noah starts moving and freaking out. And Noah's in like isolation. He's like not responsive. He's in almost like an ER essentially. And so Eli goes and he sees something moving behind Noah's eye, like above Noah's eye in his forehead. So Eli goes, gets a scalpel, makes an incision, a very big incision. It could have been a much smaller incision, but it's fine. He then gets some clamps or whatever you want to call it, tweezers, medical tweezers, so they're way more expensive and way more sterile. And he goes into Eli's head and like pulls, not into his head, just like, below the skin, and pulls out this little worm that we can see moving around. So he pulls it out. He looks at it. Noah looks at it. Noah seems relieved. When the worm is out, he like exhales, which, could mean multiple things, but it seems like Noah is relieved. And then the doctor comes in and like goes up to Eli and he's like, "What have you done?" And Eli's like, I got it. And then he looks at this like clamp, tweezers, whatever, and there's nothing on there. Boom, there's nothing on there. So that's the end of the episode. What does it mean? Well, it could mean a couple things. It could mean that like whatever is affecting Noah is like supernatural. It's like not visible to most people, only visible to those who are affected. That could be why Noah sees all that, like, the ice that happens that no one else seems to see. That could be why his breath starts showing when he gets really cold and no one else can see it. It could explain why Noah has all these interesting supernatural characteristics that no one else is seeing except for now Eli. And Eli has been pulled so far into this world that now he is seeing the same things. It's probably not going to be good for his real life, his real world life, because if he's seeing things that aren't there, if he's seeing things that other people can't see, not going to be good for someone who's a doctor who, works with people. But that could be one explanation. Or it could be that Eli is also going insane. Whatever is taking over, and it could be the same explanation, right? It could be that there's something supernatural, but Eli is also going insane. But Eli is getting taken over by whatever is happening to Noah, and that is causing him to lose his grip on reality as well, and that is going to cause him into a downward spiral. Now, I don't think there will be good consequences to this act, even though Eli did, pull out this imaginary worm that seemed to be affecting Noah. Probably not a good thing to have random surgery on a child who is restrained. Probably not going to be the best for his license and possibly his career, but we will find out. My guess is Noah's mom is not going to be too happy that he performed surgery on her son, and so she's probably going to not want him to be there. Eli is going to try to figure out how to see Noah. My guess is Noah will come to find him because they seem to be on the same page. But I guess we will find out next week. But that is before episode 5. Like I said, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice return to form. It comes to Apple TV Plus on November 15th, 2024. And if you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.